Hello, and welcome to season 3 of the Hive. This is going to be stream episode number 1. The Hive is brought to you by Esports College and Career Pathways, where our mission is to expand access to opportunities and provide a clear path forward for young adults to reach their full potential. We focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Huge thank you to our sponsors, Corsair, GameHers, ESTV, and NFL alumni. I am your host. That's Alley Cat. Tonight, we have a great program. Every week, we will be either highlighting teams, playing against each other, important topics, or just getting together with players in the community to play fun, friendly games on stream. Now, usually I'm on the camera. I'm not on it today. So sorry. I have like a technical problem myself, but I'm excited to be joined by my co-host. Well, Gary isn't here, right? Oh God, we were gonna have Gary. We have Christina from LatinX Gaming. Hi, Christina.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. We were definitely so if you guys saw the promo, we definitely were supposed to meet last week. It wasn't like an anomaly or anything. But have a quick I'm gonna just go over a quick intro for Christina, and then we're gonna get into some cool questions because I'm so excited to talk to her today. Um Christina Amaya is the president and co-founder of LatinX in Gaming, a nonprofit dedicated to helping Latinx Latinas find jobs in the gaming industry. She has almost a decade of experience in the industry, including Twitch, Unity, and Google Stadia through Adecco, and currently works at ESL as the director of festivals for DreamHack. Oh, that's so amazing. So first things, the most important question is, how did you become interested in video games?
Um, so when I was a kid, my dad wanted me to get into computers because he thought that that was like the future of tech. So he
Mhm.
started off by getting me an N64 for Christmas, which definitely shows my age, unfortunately. Um, but he bought me that, and he bought Mario with it, and he bought Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. I really loved Ocarina of Time, but I couldn't even get past the first level because I was so scared of spiders. Um,
Oh,
uh, but then after that, I started playing World of Warcraft in high school, and that was cool.
oh, nice. That's really cool. But yeah, how did you decide to look into the gaming slash tech industry?
So originally, I didn't really think it was a career path for me. So I started out
Mhm.
by kind of focusing my attention on political science, but I hated it. I hated having to wear suits all the time. I hated all my coworkers being in their 50s and 60s and just not relating to me per se. Like, I think I
Mhm.
was often the youngest person in the office and stuff. So I switched pretty quickly out, and then I went to get a culinary school degree, which didn't do me anything either, to be honest.
You
So then
you
I
said
went to,
culinary? Like cooking?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
I have a
awesome.
baking and thank you. I have a baking and pastry making degree, which I don't use either. So that's,
Oh.
sorry, mom.
It
But
is what it
now,
is.
yeah, exactly, whatever. I'm here now, right? But yeah, so I moved to New York City on a whim. And my cousin said,
Mhm.
you can stay on my couch for 1 month. After that, you got to go home. So I had to find a job and an apartment. And luckily, literally luckily, I was able to do all of that. Got a little bit of debt out of that. But, it worked out. And now I work in gaming.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's really cool. Are you still in New York? Because I'm in New York. So
No,
that's why I was like,
I'm in
oh,
New York.
oh,
It's been a
that's
few
really
years
cool.
now, but I was there from like
Yeah.
2013 to 2015.
No.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's really cool. I was gonna say, that's really cool that like even though it's not like your original plan, you still like kind of figured out like, hey, I'm gonna go into an industry that I'm actually excited about. That's really cool.
Right.
Um
Right.
so like can you go into details about like Latinx and gaming and DreamHack? Like what was like I'm guessing what made you start it essentially?
So for Latinx in gaming, I
Mm-hmm.
started the nonprofit because I couldn't see. I knew a lot of Latinos in the industry, but they were like my friends or like people I knew auxiliary, and I could really count them on my hands. So I was like, when I go to GDC or when I go to other conferences, like people there, they're having conversations at like women in gaming panels. They're having blacks in gaming meetup. They're having all this sort of stuff, and I wasn't seeing us there from a Latino perspective. So I um, yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. Oh, I think it's time? Oh, okay. Okay. So she has to take a quick break. She'll be wrecked. But yeah, no, that's really exciting. Also, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat. But yeah, welcome. I'm sorry. She's just gonna get something real quick and then we're gonna get back into that question. So just hang tight. It is our first week back, so I hope you all had a wonderful Saturday, not Saturday. We used to call it summer. I personally took it very easily. I haven't been playing as much games as possible. I was doing a lot of GTRP. So, but what games have you guys been playing in the summer? I'm kind of excited because we're kind of getting back into fall where like games are coming back and things like that. So, um, also, we're going to be playing a couple different games on here on Esports CCP um, as we go on throughout the season. And I'm very excited. And hopefully, I could beat up Nick, who's our producer. Not Rocket League. Oh, God, never again. I was going to say we could play that. What's that game called, Nick? Do you know? Multiverse. Have you played that? Just use Bugs B to but no. We got like multiverse and a couple of things coming up. So, I'm trying to add to our plethora of games here on the Hive as well. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think Nick, was that you, Nick, who typed Rocket League? Oh man. Yeah, but yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Oh, I think, oh,
My
Christina's
bad.
back. Okay. No, that's
Yeah.
fine. All right. I know we kind of like abruptly started, so I'm just gonna ask the question again. um,
Oh yeah. It was I think like about my work at
what made
Latinx and
you
gaming and
start?
DreamHack.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. For Latinx, I think it was just important to see ourselves in the room, and nobody else was doing it. So I was like, well, if no one else is going to do it, if we're not getting those results from other people, then I think it's pretty important that I start
Mhm,
it. And I picked people to help me start it that, like, I thought were leaders in the community in their own right. Elaine
mhm,
Gomez, Juan Vaca, Judy Jetset, people who I've known for a long time, and even new people. Like, I didn't know Elaine very well when I first met her back then, and now I've known her for like 4 years. So it all really depends. And then for DreamHack, um, I picked that role because I had been head of at my previous job. So I was like, I
mhm.
think it's time for me to try to be director and try to see where that'll take my career and like kind of what the next steps are for me. And I thought that was really cool.
Oh yeah, that's really cool. I mean, even so, can we like? I guess I kind of like jumped ahead of the question, but I was gonna say, even like before you came into DreamHack and Latinx and gaming, what were like some other places? I know I mentioned it in the intro, but like, what were some of your favorite places to like work? I guess essentially in tech and gaming.
I really liked working with Google. I thought, and it wasn't like because Google, I mean, it has a cool campus and everything, but something I really learned there was like, um, if you have a good team of people you really like love working with,
Hmm.
the work is fucking awesome, right? No, I don't know if I can
Yeah,
curse, so
it's
let me
fine.
know.
Yeah, you're fine.
But it's true. It's the best. Like it didn't feel like work. It felt like community to me. And
Hmm.
like my boss Nicole and then my friend Jamie, my friend Jake,
Hmm.
like we were able to work together really seamlessly, and we had good work days together. And like it was just honestly so nice to be able to like work on things that we were really passionate about and really admired. And like we really cared about the product too, but we also really cared
Mhm.
about each other. And that was the best part.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I love the gaming industry. I think there's so many aspects. There's just like community based, right? And that's really cool that I didn't think you would say Google though. I don't know why, but that's really
um,
cool.
it was honestly for the people. And don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
Twitch, like I had some pretty good workers there too. But I can't
Hmm.
lie, being a customer service agent is a hard job. And like it's really
Yeah.
hard to be like, yeah, I super loved answering complaints all day and it definitely didn't do anything to me mentally. It's like that was hard. And at the time, Twitch didn't necessarily have the infrastructure in place. Not a lot of companies did to help with mental
Yeah.
health issues for customer service agents. So that was hard for them too.
But yeah, what are some things you want to do with Latinx? Oh, sorry. Can you tell us more about Latinx in gaming and what your company does? Like, I guess that's like a very broad question, but feel free to like elaborate on like some of like the more important things that you guys do.
Yeah, so Latinx in gaming, well, first off, it's a nonprofit. So kind of all of
Hmm.
our funds pretty much go back into the hands of Latinos, right? And one
Hmm.
of the things that we really focus our time and energy on is making sure that we're elevating content creators. So, for example, we're going to be at TwitchCon, we're going to have a booth, and we're having
Hmm.
other pieces there that I can't announce. And I just realized you probably shouldn't have announced the booth either. My bad. But we're
It's
going to
okay.
have
It's our
some presents.
secret.
Us and whoever's watching, sorry.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I think that'll be really cool and it'll be a really fun
Hmm.
way for us to help the community locally.
Hmm.
And pretty excited about that, honestly. And then I think the other cool thing is that like we provide grants. So we have a grants coming up that I also shouldn't, whatever, you know what? And so our grants program is coming up.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
I'm so sorry. It was so
no,
easy
I'm
chatting.
just,
I'm kidding. I
yeah,
feel
yeah. Oh my
diabolical when
gosh.
you said, "Oh no, how are
Anyways,
you making me talk?" No, I'm kidding.
no, 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 it's great. I'm an open book apparently. But
Yeah.
yeah, we are going to give people money. So we did this last year. We did 25K in
Hmm.
funds for whatever they need. You need a new camera, you need to
Wow.
upgrade your software and your computer. You want to take a class that Harvard offers like 3K, but it'll look good on your resume. Like we can help you pay for those things. And we can get
Yeah.
you new computers. We have 5 to give away during the month of October. So we have like a
Nice.
ton of stuff there for people. Yeah. And really, we're just trying to bridge the gaps. We had a career
Hmm.
fair in June. We're going to do a Hispanic Heritage Month celebration. There's a ton of different stuff there.
Oh, yeah, that's really cool. And yeah, I was gonna ask as well, like, um, for the Latin, I don't know, I don't want to mess up the term, but it's Latinx and Latinas who are basically looking for help. Like, how do you guys? Is it always just like streamers, or is it just anyone in gaming? Is it like career based? Like, who is like the primary target to join Latinx in gaming?
I think for us, anybody that wants a
Hmm.
career in the gaming industry or anybody who wants to be elevated within their career in the gaming industry is welcome.
Hmm.
We really, obviously, Latinx and Latinas are the people we support, first and foremost, but that doesn't mean we don't care about other underrepresented or underserved communities. We want to make sure that
Yeah.
we're an open door for anyone. So, our career fair, we had, other people join us from the
Hmm.
LGBTQ community. We had, all sorts of folks join in. And we
Hmm.
are happy about that. We like for me, one, being Latina is so diverse, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's tons of countries. It's tons of, Taino mixed mezclado with like Spaniards. There's, the
Hmm.
Portuguese side of things, etc. So it's really beautifully diverse. And for us to
Hmm.
gatekeep that feels a little strange.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, like, it's such like I feel like when every time I hear Latinx, I'm like, that's such a big category because it's like not only is it different countries, but it's also people don't even realize it's different languages that stem from that. And also, like you said, like, there's Afro Latinas, there's, Mexicans, all that, like, and it's just you all coming together. And I think it's really cool to have like a group like this only because like you said, sometimes it's hard to like kind of pinpoint like who's like falls into that category, and you don't know if like even if that person needs help or if they're struggling with like being in whatever, you know, situation they are in gaming. So that's really cool to have this organization to be like, hey, I'm willing to help you, even though you spilled the beans on a couple things a little early. But no, like that's really awesome. And like just you know, so what are some things that you guys do to like promote like you know, like joining and making sure that everybody's seen and heard?
Um, so for example, our program that's coming up, Unidos, which is our Hispanic
Hmm.
Heritage Month celebration, this is our third year in a row doing it.
Hmm.
We like to, invite streamers to join us. We're working with Cafe Cultivar, which is this really cool team of Latinx streamers on Twitch. We're working with
Hmm.
them to kind of have some content there, but we're also, providing like spaces for game developers. There's an indie game that just finally finished in Colombia called Annihilation, and that game is going to be released
Ooh.
like this week. So we are going to have a
Yeah.
demo of it played. And because we're going to be, featured heavily on Twitch because of our partnership with them, that means that
Hmm.
people who might not have seen them before will get the opportunity to see them. And I think that that's really cool too.
Yeah. I was gonna ask, are you guys doing anything on like the development side? Because I feel like this is such a cool group to have that you guys could probably even consult about like things in video games that are like cultural appropriate, you know? Like sometimes we
Right.
see some things and they kind of divert from us. Like when I say us, I mean like and you know, different cultures and things that it might not be like I guess accurate. Is do you guys do like consultations with like video game companies?
We do, but we help out where we can. We try more to
Yeah.
get people hired so they actually have people there, but like we also are translating game design books into Spanish, just because we
Ooh.
know that that helps bridge the gaps for resources. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's Juan's huge project that I think he's killing it at. And
Mhm.
then, for example, we do game jams, so we get
Oh,
money
nice.
straight to developers so that they can release their games. So we're helping on the indie side, we're helping in
Mhm,
Latin America, but we're also trying to help here in the United States by getting people just
mhm,
hired, right? Like it's really important. Like you could consult me and I could join your game for like 30 hours, but that's only 30 hours. Or you could hire a
mhm,
Latina person and they could actually be helping create the game. So I feel
mhm.
like there's so many different ways you could go with it. And it's just important to be able to, like make the effort and hire people that actually know what they're talking about.
No, like seriously, like we talk here about like sometimes in we've heard it even from game devs where it's like a boys club or it's like you know all white cis males in the executive rooms, and we do want that room to be diverse. We don't just want like you know like I'm a black woman. I love seeing black women executives, and I would love to see Latinx person next to her, or just because it's good to have so
Right.
many different perspectives in that room. And I don't think a lot of people even see that as like how important that is. So that's why like a group like yours is just so amazing to have. So like that's really cool. Actually, I was like, oh, that's
Yeah.
really dope. Even like languages, because I know you mentioned Twitch. I think it's so cool that I like sometimes I just go and sit in some of the Spanish speaking streams because they're huge, amazing streams, and you know people will think, oh, because it's Twitch, it's like English only. It's like no, some of like the biggest streamers are actually like Latin. Like it's really amazing to see stuff like that. So, and I think even having the booth and the presence at TwitchCon is amazing, and so more people could join and probably get help. So that's really cool. I was gonna say, what are something? I know we kind of said a lot about the future, but I mean, or is there something in the future that you're looking forward to doing more and like maybe expand more?
Um, I really wish that we could kind of fund a major project in Latin America.
Hmm.
I think that that one sounds really cool. I also want to fund more people going to conventions, and that was always a dream of
Hmm.
mine, and then have a bigger presence at cons.
Yeah.
In 2020, before everything shut down, we actually had a booth at PAX South, a whole hallway dedicated to
Wow.
ourselves. It was so cool, right? And so we actually got streamers out, we got devs out, and so the whole room was just Latin focused, and it was great because like we could really focus in on like what we wanted, and we had a dance class, and that was super cool. Everybody had a really good time at that one. Yeah, there's just a lot of great things, and it was really honestly such a good time. And the only thing that sucked is that we were going to try to do something like that for PAX East, and then as
Oh,
you probably know, COVID
yeah,
started looming
yeah.
in. But yeah.
Yeah, I remember that because I was thinking about going to PAX East, and then I was like, "No, I'm not gonna go." But yeah, that's really. But yeah, I mean, how like so we could kind of talk a little bit about DreamHack as well because like I guess that's more like esports land type. But like, what is it like to work for such a amazing? I feel like it's such a staple in the gaming community now. Actually, my boyfriend actually came second at a hack. I think it was Austin, for
Oh,
Hearthstone.
cool.
Yes, it was really cool that I was like DreamHack, oh cool. But yeah, what is it like to work for like a company like that?
So, I think being an event manager or an events person
Hmm.
never really gets old. It's like the questions you ask yourself in the job are just completely different from like what other people ask. You're like, shoot, do you
Hmm.
think I have enough budget for a bouncy house obstacle course, or do you think we need to try to go in a different direction? I'm like that's like obviously there's like boring stuff, right? And I'm like holding my
Hmm.
fingers up in air quotes, but like there are contracts you need to sign. There's like you have to do a lot of project management and stuff, but it's it's just so nice to be able to do something where I can be creative and I can
Hmm.
interact with people in a way that I've always been behind the scenes. Like I don't really and ironically I say that as I'm in front of a camera, but I usually like being behind the scenes and in the background and I don't like kind of being like in front of the stream or whatever. And so being able to put things together and know people are enjoying it because I put it together really brings me fulfillment.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna ask this because like we talked to a lot of like college students and like so many people who have aspirations to get into esports. But how did you get into events and esports and that things kind of thing? Was it easy to just apply? And also, if somebody was interested in working for DreamHack, how would they go about it? Yes, if you could tell me, I
Um,
don't know.
so I am actually hiring. So if anybody's interested and has experience, I'm hiring for somebody to do events for influencers.
Ooh.
Apply right now because I'm limiting down candidates as we speak. Well, after the call. But it was not easy. I can't lie to you.
Hmm.
And it's still not easy. I remember when
Yeah.
I lost my job due to COVID, people like first off, all the jobs were disappearing. So this is like kind of
Hmm.
obviously not a common thing, but it was hard to find jobs that were still hiring at the time. Me and 5 billion other event managers were scrambling to find jobs. Like, and as the world quote unquote returns to normal, because COVID does affect us and it does affect how we interact with each other. um,
Hmm.
it's it's like pretty visible to see that like we as events people are still affected. I remember when I started hiring, which was a year before most events came back, I was one of the first people that was able to hire at my last role. And I had
Hmm.
applicants that used to work for Beyonce. I had people that were like,
Wow.
hey, like, I am the head of events for Live Nation. Like, please get me a
Whoa.
job. And they were just hungry to be employed, you know what I mean? And that
Yeah.
in and of itself is pretty daunting.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I feel like COVID has changed everything. So it's like,
Yeah.
I was gonna say for DreamHack, did you all if I'm mistaken, you could correct me, but you guys have did also some online events, right?
Yeah, so before my time, but they did do DreamHack Beyond, which was kind of like
Oh
an online
yeah.
DreamHack presence. And so DreamHack Beyond is still a big part of like what DreamHack is doing now.
Mm-hmm.
It is just like kind of like both a lead up and like an after type of thing. So like if you wanted to compete in tournaments before DreamHack, there's that. Streams before
Mm-hmm.
DreamHack, there's that. Ways to see kind of games beforehand. It's really kind of like a get ready for the experience, and it sort of leads you into the actual show, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. Can you tell us some of the projects or events you've worked on for like DreamHack and what I mean, maybe what's coming up? Don't
Um,
break any NDAs, please.
my PR person sitting back there like Christina. No, let's see. Atlanta is coming up in November. It's
Mm-hmm.
November 18th through the 20th, I believe, or 17th through the 19th. One thing you should know about me, which is like a really funny quirk, is I don't
Mm-hmm.
know dates very well. So I'll be like, oh, yeah, it's Labor Day weekend, September 5th through 9th. And somebody's like, Labor Day weekend, September 2nd through 4th. And I'm like, oh, yeah, same thing, right? And people are like, no, like not at all. So, but it's around that weekend time frame.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's a little bit before Thanksgiving. And it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be super cool. We do have a lot of interesting activations that we have coming. I'm honestly really excited for some of the things that my staff has put together. I think they're a really good group of folks. I'm honestly can't wait to see. And we're hiring, so it's going to be my new hires first DreamHack with us, and then
Oh, wow.
they can maybe go to winter afterwards. And DreamHack Winter takes place in Jönköping, Sweden, so that's another interesting experience as well.
Yeah. Yeah. My boyfriend used to go to like all of them. He used to go to like, I think he's been to Sweden, Canada,
Oh shit.
Atlanta, Austin. Yeah, he's been to a lot of Hearthstone pro player, former, I guess.
Oh,
But
okay,
yeah,
okay, okay. It
yeah,
all makes sense.
yeah.
It all makes sense.
Yeah, but that's really cool. So yeah, I mean, is there a time where like both things kind of merge together, like Latinx and gaming and DreamHack?
So I mean, there could be. I think the problem I have is
Hmm.
whenever I'm at a job, like having that job sponsor or be part of Latinx feels weird since I'm the president of the org. So
Yeah,
I would want to hire more people onto my team and somebody to focus on charities like Latinx so that they
hmm,
can work with hopefully not me and that there's no conflict of interest there.
yeah. No, that's really cool. So what are some challenges with being a woman of color in the esports event side of the business, or just esports in general? Like, or I would also preface this to say, like, what would you like to see, more of as a woman of color in the esports
Um,
industry?
So I there's this like really interesting chart that I like to reference, and it's
Hmm.
a woman of it. It explains like a woman of color's journey in the gaming industry. She gets hired, and everybody is like, "Oh my God, like look at this chick. She's like, she's so unique and different, and we're so happy we hired her." And then she starts pushing back, and people are like, "Whoa, that's how we've always
Yeah,
done things," or "I can't believe you don't think his sexist jokes are funny." And then eventually, she either gets fired or leaves because she didn't work with a company culture. And
yeah,
I think I think that that is unfortunately a pretty prevalent experience for a lot of women is that they don't fit a specific mold. And whenever people use words like make sure you fit into our company culture and stuff, what they're really saying is we have a homogenized way of doing things and we want to keep it that way, right? And it's like,
yeah,
well, actually, like if you want the diverse audience that you're seeking, which often they do, right? Then
right.
you're going to need to hire more folks who have differentiating backgrounds, differentiating opinions, et cetera, et cetera. And you're going to have to accept that they might not talk like you and they might resolve conflict differently than you. And you're going to have to learn that that is how those people are. And rather than pushing them out and trying to make them feel some sort of way, when in reality, you weren't an accepting company, right? And so that happens
Mhm,
more often, I see, than not. And I think it's,
mhm.
use the Riot Games, the Blizzard Activision sort of trials and stuff as examples of like, gosh, like these people, there were so many of these people in situations that were dire and they didn't
Yeah,
know how to speak up about it and they didn't know how to say anything because almost all their peers were the exact same. And that's hard. That's really difficult.
yeah, and I mean, even being, I was gonna say, is how do you, I guess the word would be like I say, do you use that or your experience to mentor others, especially for the Latinx in gaming organization? Like, I hope, I would say, what are some things that you tell those women, especially like joining dev teams and just joining the industry in general? Is there any advice that you could give?
Um, So I think one thing first is to find
Hmm.
communities of like-minded people or people
Yes.
who happen to have similar experiences to you to really get that outside perspective. I would also say that, don't tweet everything you think. Just don't
Yeah.
do it, especially if you're on the professional side. I see some
Hmm.
folks who try to like kind of, you know, straddle the line of professional slash influencing in the space. And I think
Hmm.
that, it's really easy for your Twitter to be judged or your Instagram or your whatever. And people see it. More people than you think see it. There have definitely been times where somebody's like, "Oh yeah, you said that in a tweet," and I'm like, "I said that in a tweet like 3 weeks ago. Like, why are we referencing it now, you scary person?" And
Yeah.
but it's true, right? Like I'll think about somebody and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, on Twitter they said XYZ," right? And at the
Yeah.
same time, it's not the full narrative of who you are. So I think being cognizant of how, if you're cool with it too, though, like fucking have at it, right? Like if you want to
Yeah.
be a specific personality on Twitter and you don't give a shit what it could possibly do, especially if you're, in the influencer space, then like go for it,
Mhm.
like that's your life. But that would be my advice. And then another piece of advice would be, I think it's okay to fail. I think it's okay
Mhm.
to have things go badly. I think the only, like, if you just succeed the whole time, right, of your career and nothing ever goes
Mhm.
wrong, you're never going to be able to give anybody advice on what to do when their things are failing. And when something finally fails, you're going to be like in complete shock. You'll be like, how the
Yeah.
heck?
Yeah.
How the heck did that happen? I'm so perfect and great at everything. And it's like, well, actually, no, you're not. So, but
Yeah.
that can be scary. And I think that, you know, that definitely has an effect on like how you view yourself and your work, and learning
Yeah.
to handle that is really a positive thing as well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I'm a community manager for a Black Femmes group, and sometimes I have to tell them, like we all have had L's essentially, and it's not because we like don't voice it. It's just there's sometimes we have to take those L's in order to like basically transition into being better or learning how, especially if you're a woman in color in gaming and things like that. Sometimes you have to take a L just to figure out like what type of time some people are on too. So I
Right.
definitely get that advice. And also even about the teeth thing, like it's just like choose your battles. Like sometimes it's not the right moment to just kind of like air everything out. Even though sometimes I like to watch, but it's really good advice. I appreciate that. I was gonna ask more about like LAN events, especially during COVID. How has that scene like? How is that scene going right now? It has it changed? Obviously, it has. But what are some changes you see happening for LAN events?
I think people are. I think okay. So I'm going to say this in general. In general,
Hmm.
how people have handled washing their hands. I know this is so gross because you and I are probably like, yeah, you just fucking do it, right? But washing
Yeah.
their hands, covering their mouths when they cough, shit. Like I remember I used to fly from PAX and be like,
Hmm.
fuck. Like some people hugged me that definitely didn't shower this entire convention. Do. But now people are like constantly sanitizing their hands and washing their hands,
Hmm.
putting masks on, although I do see a lot less masks, as time goes on. But like it's reminding people that, you know, these steps, these like simple steps can stop you from being sick. And some people, which I don't know, it might be showing their whole ass, but they are like, oh my God, I haven't gotten sick and all I do now is wash my hands. And it's like, that's so gross. You probably got sick because you didn't wash your hands, right? But
Yeah.
it's interesting. So the same way can be said for a LAN event. People are now
Yeah.
cleaning their setups, they're cleaning their hands in between and stuff. They're making sure to like test for COVID.
Mhm.
People aren't coming on site if they have COVID, especially from staff. So we're trying to balance the line here, as best
Yeah.
as we can, because on the opposite side, not to get political, right? But some
Yeah.
people see the mask and like they see red and it's like oppression, and you're like, well, sure.
No, like I think I was watching some of the cons that went down like earlier this year, and I don't know, when I just saw the pictures I was just like, how is this happening? But at the same time people are a little bit more hygienic, I guess is the word, and aware about like but like sometimes I just watch like I see the picture on Twitter and I'll be like, oh my goodness, I couldn't be there. But yeah, I mean,
Right,
it's really
right.
cool. One of my things, which I used to laugh about it, but now I think, oh my god, it was so smart. When I used to go to PAX, I never used to want to touch like the keyboards and things, and I actually did bring like wipes to like wipe anything I would touch. And I was like thinking back on it, I was like, oh, I was right.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like now, you felt weird about it before, but now you're like, no,
Yeah,
that was correct. What am I saying? But
Yeah.
yeah.
But do you I was gonna say, do you think LAN events are gonna be like back in full force maybe by like next year, or or is it just we have to wait and see type of situation? In your opinion, of course.
I think it's a wait and see situation. I
Yeah.
see a lot of difficulties, I think, with understanding where COVID is,
Mm-hmm.
and just how it's working in general, right? I think, you know, I thought it was going to end 2 weeks, right? I remember when they were
Yeah.
like, all right, well, COVID's probably ending in 2 weeks, so enjoy your 2 week vacation. I remember those first 2 weeks of like lockdown in March. We were all like, hell yeah, COVID's ending, and like I baking bread
Mm-hmm.
and shit, and like it was so relaxing. And then we were like,
Yeah.
oh shit, we still can't go outside. And then oh my God, we still can't do anything. And it was hard. And you live in New York, so you probably had it pretty tough
Yeah.
too.
I haven't look. I'm the worst person to ask because I'm just like I am trying to be inside as much as possible.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah. Um, yeah, New York
Gosh.
has always been that way. We used to have stomach flus that just travel to the city and stuff. So I'm like, I'm not taking my chance with COVID. Absolutely not. But and yeah, it's kind of silly to think about it now because now it's like I'll see like sometimes they have the live Times Square feed and I'm like, oh my goodness. I was like, I can't believe you guys are down there like that. But
Yeah. Even when I lived in New York, I wasn't like, you know where I should go and hang out is Times Square, but that's different.
yeah. But yeah, like so I guess I could ask you this because I did wonder about this, especially seeing like the conventions and stuff pop up. Um, like how difficult is it to do like logistics or just setting up and making sure like because I'm not sure if you've seen like the outcry for like TwitchCon and things like that to make sure like they mandate masks and things like that. Is
Yeah.
that something that you all are thinking about like while you're planning? Is it just like is that like a new added aspect, I guess is my question?
So as open as I can be about this type of topic, what I will
Yeah.
say is that it isn't necessarily as easy as just fucking put masks back on, which,
Right.
you know, eh,
Mhm.
shrug. Like it's sometimes I'm gonna just use a random example of
Mhm.
I'm gonna pick a random city. Like a city wants you to come there and they will offer you a lot of discounts and they'll, hey, if
Mhm.
you sign a 3-year package, you're gonna get this discounted rate and blah blah blah. But we don't
Mhm.
enforce mask mandates. I don't think, by the way, this is, I'm not speculating, but
Mhm.
this could be it, right? And it was like,
Mhm.
okay, well then sure, like we just will do that and we won't enforce them. And
Mhm.
then people are like, wow, you're not doing mask mandates. And it's like, cool.
Yeah.
So do I piss off the city by turning around
Mhm.
and saying, oh yeah, yeah, we are. Sorry, we sucked, And it's like, do you throw them under the bus? Do you
Right.
just not do anything? And like how big is the outcry and what's going to happen, right? And I think those are all really important questions to ask yourself in terms of like organization. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, like, some cities and some places in the country act like masks never existed, right? Or,
Yeah.
they're like the fake virus. So I'm from Florida originally, and every
Oh.
time I go home, I'm like, holy shit, like first off, like take these people's cell phones away. But
No, seriously. Like when you said Florida, I was like there were people, I don't know, COVID has made so my eyes open at this point because I have family and friends that live there, and I feel like our views are so different. And I'm just like, what is in the water down there? No, but it's just like I
battery
get it as
acid,
soon as you said it. Yeah. But as soon as you
frankly.
said it, I was just like, I understand.
It's wild.
But
It's truly
yeah,
wild what people in Florida like whatever
it
fucking.
hasn't ever shut down, and I don't think people even noticed that. Like they were literally them, and then like I think Georgia was just like wide open the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, but so
So.
was Sweden never enforced mask mandates either,
Mhm.
Isn't that kind of funny? Like when some of
Yeah.
my Swedish coworkers came to visit me, they were like, "Oh, we never really enforced it." And like, yeah, it
Mhm.
seems like a really Republican thing to not enforce it here, but in Sweden, it's just Sweden. And I was like, I
Mhm.
feel like there's a lot to unpack here, but I'm
Yeah.
not going to. I got enough to worry about in the US of A than just what's
Yeah.
going on in Sweden politics. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard because you really want to, you know, you want to make as many people happy as possible.
Right.
I'm going to use a fun example. Our BYOC, the, you know, the land portion itself, what we're
Mm-hmm.
famously known for, has a group of VIPs and founders and people who come every year and are at every DreamHack.
Mm-hmm.
And every year we give them a survey, like, what'd you think? And every year they're like
Mm-hmm.
polar opposites. Bring me closer to the stage. I feel like I wasn't by anybody. If I have to listen to one more fucking EDM song, I'm gonna shoot something. You know, it's like the complete opposite of things of like what they want in a show. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just, you know, they have such set expectations. And I feel like it's not necessarily there's no winning, it's just you can't please everybody. And so
Right.
you have to make decisions that are for the, you know, the betterment of your community, and not just that, but overall, right? Like you should try to be making
Mm-hmm.
decisions that uh, get you fired, and you know,
That
ultimately, you
too.
know, yeah,
Yeah.
it's so I feel bad for the people running TwitchCon because I think that was a difficult place to be in, but I think the
Mm-hmm.
community so strongly voiced what they were feeling about it and really said, hey, we don't want to go without masks. And it
Yeah.
showed, and it came in and they changed the policy. And then, as you saw probably, and I saw this drama too, a bunch of people
Mhm.
were like, we're going to put on our own convention. Fuck that.
Wow.
And then they got a bunch of people in the comments like, yeah, your own convention, you know, and it's just like so stupid.
You can
I mean,
never win with
congrats,
that. Yeah.
you can never fucking
Yeah.
win. And then and then the problem is, right? Like, so all these people that wanted them to be safe for their
Mm-hmm.
health for whatever reason now are probably staying at hotels with a bunch of anti-maskers going to this other event that is happening at the exact same time. Truly no winning. Truly no winning. And
Yeah.
it's such a shame because it's it's so much pressure put on event managers, event organizers, and really
Mm-hmm.
the pressure should be on the city and the federal level. Sorry, we
Yeah.
got real into politics here, but it is
No,
what
but
it is.
I don't think a lot of people, and I'm really happy about your perspective because I don't think a lot of people realize that at this point, events people, and this is just in every industry, they're literally trying to kind of figure it out on like a state or federal level because they also put in places in different states, different mandates and things. So it's not like you can make a policy. It might also be going against the law. So that's a
Yeah.
really cool perspective, and thank you for explaining, especially because I didn't even see the event things. Honestly, I was like, wait, they said what? Oh
I know,
no,
and I get it. I get that you're not going to know the behind the
yeah,
scenes stuff, and that's not your fault,
yeah,
and that's not their fault.
yeah,
And it could be hard. I just know that it must have been absolutely mind melting for them in terms of
yeah.
difficulty. They must have been like, "Ah, fuck everyone! Like,
Yeah.
y'all don't know what we're
I
going
just think
through."
like yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like you can't put something in your policy because now you're being at risk for getting like class action, especially if there's people who are readily available to like do things. But yeah,
Right.
I was gonna say, I guess we could go into like we're in the last 10 minutes, so we could go into like you did mention that you're not working in anything that you studied in. So question number 12 is kind of funny. But is
Oh
there
no.
some advice you would give to someone going into esports or event planning? Like you just mentioned, there's so many new things about it, but also people switching into different industries because, you know, a lot of the events stopped, obviously. But now that they're kind of jumping back, is there some like cool advice you could share?
Is this for students before I answer?
Uh, I guess it could be for anyone
Is
because
that the
we
core
don't.
audience? Okay. Okay.
I think we just talk to everyone at this point.
Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna be honest. I college was cool insofar as I got to like be a bartender. That was like I think my
Mhm.
takeaway from college. Oh, and my friend group, who were all Latinos by the way, so like this is
Oh,
crazy, all
nice.
became radical Trump supporters. And one of them
Oh
spent
no.
money that I know he doesn't have. I doubt he'll ever see this, but if you see this, bro, what the hell? To go to the Trump ball. And I was like, he'd throw you in the ocean. Like he really would. Like he would
Yeah.
absolutely shoot you back. I don't know what you're doing, but um, all that to say, right? Like college to me as a millennial who had to pay off my debts, and it took me 8 or so years to do so. And like, I never really like, I was working most of my young life. You know, I definitely didn't live above a certain line of wealth. Like, I would probably never go back to college. And I hate to say that, but it's just like so much of what I learned from working, and I learned from on the job experience. And, you know, I think the major problem with the gaming industry, right, is there's no direct path. And a lot of the direct paths that were sown or that were made, some of them are scams, right? Like some of them felt
Yeah.
very like online university.com, like they weren't real things. And so I think it's important to first off ask yourself, okay, cool, like I want to go into gaming or I want to really pursue this now. Why? What do I want to do, etc. Because when I first got in, I was a social media manager slash community manager, and respect, I can't do it. I can't do it for shit. I can't. I love doing stuff for people, but if I have to interface with them every single day, you will see a different side of me, and it is not cute. So I think
Yeah.
that was something that I had to learn pretty quickly, right? Is that like I can't be customer facing in that way for my mental. And
Yeah.
so then I was like, okay, social's not for me. So then I was already 3 years in the social media slash community. And I tried to
Um,
slowly veer towards events because that was always made me happy, right? Like I loved going to
mhm.
Gamescom, I love going to PAX, I loved going to like League of Legends finals and stuff. And so I had to do a lot of work on the side. So I was
Uh,
social media manager, community manager by day, event planner on the weekends, right? And so that was hard. And I don't recommend having two jobs, especially for like these younger generations that are like, I do not dream of labor. Like, agree, like
mhm.
revolutionary for me to learn that from youngins, but you know, glad I learned it. And I think in the end, right, like what I would say is really look into what you want to do. If you have the funds to attend something to see if that's what you'd like, do that. If you want to cold like email somebody or attend, there are so many workshops that are underattended. Like Latinx in Gaming has them, you know, Blacks in Gaming has them, like Women in Games in London has them. Like so many people are hosting events with in gaming
Mhm.
experts, and you can literally be one of 15 people in the audience, and you just got to go, hey, I saw your panel. I really want to
Yep.
connect with you. Let's talk about it. Get a coffee. Be like, tell me the truth. Tell me what you do. And like, if that's what you want to do, then you start pursuing it. But give yourself the like ability to like step back and think about it. And don't do what I
Mhm.
did, which is like run headfirst and be like, I have to work in gaming. It doesn't even matter what I do, because that was false. And I hated all the stuff that I hated, and I should have really taken the time to do it. So yeah,
Oh, wow. Yeah. No, that's actually great advice, especially for the gaming industry. And it's like
yeah,
also like I feel like because there was moments where I could basically work a little bit, I guess, more into the gaming industry, and I kind of said no because I was like, I just don't want to be surrounded by those people, and they'd be like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, I don't have the mental capacity right now. So I
I get
definitely
it.
get that. Like, if you know, don't just throw all your eggs in one basket, essentially, and try to feel out what areas you like. Because sometimes, you'll think you want to do something until you realize it's kind of like the same scale of people you're around, and it's just more so of what you want to do. So yeah.
Right,
Um,
right.
is there anything you want to bring more awareness to in the gaming slash esports industry? Yes. This is the question I wanted to ask.
Um, I think a lot of people don't think they can work in this industry. Like I'll meet
Mhm.
people at like a bank or, you know, getting my groceries or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, you work in games? That's so cool." And I'm like, "Yeah, you could work in games." Like it's not like I didn't step on the moon or anything. You know, I went for a career and I got it. And I think people are so scared to visualize themselves in this because they see this like in their head, like an engineering techie dude who's like the
Mhm.
smartest person in his class, and Mark Zuckerberg Jr., you know what I mean? Ew, even saying his
Yeah.
name. Like, you know, and they
Mhm.
really think that that's what it is. And it's not at
Mhm.
all. Like you can be like the beauty of this industry is that like
Yes.
any other industry, it requires accountants, it requires finance people or lawyers, marketing people. It requires product managers, project managers. You name it.
Mhm.
There's a need for it in this industry, and you know, people don't think because they're of a certain age, a certain gender, a certain background that they can't get into this. And to
Mm-hmm.
that I say, the only reason you're going to fail is if you don't try, and then if you don't get it the first time, keep trying, right? Like the
Yep.
worst somebody can say to you is no. So I feel like I just want people to know that this is an achievable job. And the more of us that are working in it that didn't see ourselves in it, the more people with diverse backgrounds that don't necessarily come from gaming, and I was a pro gamer since I was 5 and now I'm, whatever. I think the healthier of an industry it'll be, because I think our audience isn't necessarily growing right now because we're not
Mm-hmm.
getting newer people. Like we're not fully understanding how to get certain generations in, like even the older generations, right? Like we don't really know how to get boomers to say they're gamers, even though they all are. They all play Candy Crush to the end of Earth, right? But like, and I think that that's important, right? Like, how do we learn to market to other people, and how do we learn to be inclusive of other people? Like, I used to
Mm-hmm.
play League of Legends religiously, and a
Right.
major reason I stopped is because I was tired of being yelled at. I was like, fuck,
Yeah.
it's just a fucking, it's I'm not playing
Yeah.
pro. I'm just gaming. I'm just having fun, and like I shouldn't want to be I shouldn't want to be nervous to put myself on voice chat and stuff. So we need to
Yeah.
do better to make this as an inclusive environment. We need more inclusivity from the top down. There needs to be C-levels that are all, women and people of color. There needs to be people at all levels.
Yeah. And I used to the whole League of Legends thing, I felt that in my soul, like, "We're all in bronze, why are you yelling at me?" But no, that's really awesome. Okay, so, first of all, thank you so much for coming. This is so amazing. I hope you could come back, maybe later on, in the season. So where can everyone find you, and where can they find LatinX in gaming, and any dream hack things? Anything you wanna plug, this is your moment to shine. Go ahead. Well, you shined the whole interview, but now you can plug where they could find
Oh,
you.
oh my gosh. So I'm Silchris88 on Twitter. I think that's my handle
Mhm.
on most things if you want to find me. And then Latinos in Gaming. We couldn't get Latinx in Gaming. That's our Twitter handle, and then it's Latinx in Gaming on Instagram.
Mhm.
And then if you want to come to DreamHack, you're welcome to get tickets are launching. I'm not going to say because I'm going to fuck it up, but they're launching eventually. And if you want a ticket for Atlanta, that we even have family passes. So if you want to come with your kids and stuff, we have that. We're
Cool.
definitely going to start reaching out to creators if they want tickets, because they bring an audience.
I
Like super
do.
down for that too. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming. This is an amazing first episode, and I'm so glad you're here. You got to come and we got to do it. Thank you for joining us this week, everyone who's watching. And again, thank you to Christina. We enjoyed having you on stream and also for supporting us. We want to thank our partners, ESTV, NFL Alumni, Corsair, and GameHers. Without their support, we would not be able to bring you our weekly show. We also want to thank our producer, Nick, and our moderators, Catherine and Allison. We will have another great program next week, but follow us on our social media to stay updated on upcoming topics. I believe everything is esports CCP or esports career and college and career path. Oh God, I'm having a tongue tie here. Have a great weekend. Stay cool and game on. We'll see you next week. Bye.
I